Hello everybody, my name is Luke Marr and this is Hot Mode, and today on Hot Mode we're back for part 2 of our Met Gala fashion roast and review. So without further ado, let's get into it. Now, the dress code tailored for you, the Met said, was specifically based on suiting and menswear and other interpretations of that, just so you know, and the exhibit this year is Superfine Tailoring Black Style, so there is a lot of emphasis on Black historical fashion, especially around the suiting and menswear mold. And so without further ado, let's get started. I'm going to start off with Alicia Keys and Swizz Beatz, who are both wearing Moncler, and this is a collaboration with Edward Enninful, the creative director, formerly of Vogue. He's a stylist, very talented. And so the thing is, these are navy blue and red pinstriped suits. Let's talk about Swizz Beatz first, just because that navy blue and red pinstripe really comes in. I think it's fab. I think it's cute. I think it's fun. I also like the fact that there's this matching stole that Alicia is wearing that plays into the pinstripes of Swizz's look. And as for Alicia, hers is not, well, I guess actually it's probably the inverse. So you have the red as much more dominant in Alicia's look and the navy blue as just subtle stripes inside. Whereas with Swizz, I think the navy blue is the dominant and the red is much more sort of aligned. So it's this idea of like halves and yin and yang and sort of, you know, two halves make a whole. I think that's honestly kind of cool and fun. And also if you're coming as a couple, like, it's nice to have something that works together and isn't really fighting each other. We'll talk a little bit about boring couples in a few looks. But overall, I really enjoyed this. I thought it was sweet. I thought the tailoring worked. I thought it was different. I think that it's nice that they're playing into each other's looks. Overall, I'm into it. Next up, we have Anna Sawai, who is wearing Dior and Cartier. Now, listen, I respect Anna Sawai because she left whatever hotel she was at because she walked the carpet after Zendaya, and that is courage. That is one of the most respectful things that anybody can do, because she said, I have to go. Gotta go. And I just saw Zendaya wearing a similar look. Their looks are not the same. Zendaya's had a flared pant, and I also believe that it has a waistcoat underneath, but it doesn't look like it. I think that this is a sweet suit, but again, not really like obsessed with it. I think that it's tailored well. I assume it probably is also a reference to the whole Bianca Jagger white suit experience. I don't know, maybe like a 2-button situation, maybe like a more dramatic or more interesting lapel would have really spoken just a little bit more, because even the Bianca Jagger reference where she's wearing the cane, which again, cane would have been great. More canes in general would have been amazing. But I think that the lapel was just a little bit more stark and hit. This to me, a little safe. At least with Zendaya's, what I'll say is there was that flare, so there was some sort of distinction, but it just feels okay. Like, the Cartier jewelry is lovely on her, and again, it's not a bad suit whatsoever. It's just a little unconfident. Maybe the fact that she showed up after Zendaya neutralizes the whole experience. And again, I'm not saying the one person looked better than the other. It's not what I'm trying to do. It's just funny that they both showed up in a very similar look. Next up, we have Brian Tyree Henry, who is wearing custom Gucci, and David Yurman. I really like this. I think that the suit is great. Like, that deep, really quite long lapel in red is quite lovely. It's simple, it's clean, the shoe works. I think the shirt and the tie also play into it. But I think that it's this stole, caftan, jacket, cape thing that really sort of gives it the oomph. Not only is it draped, and I think that if you go back into not only sort of African-American history, but also into like African history, you can see a lot of elements of tailoring paired off with suiting. I think that it plays a little bit into what I was saying in the first video, although I got it wrong. I said it was W.E.B. Du Bois that was talking about going to Africa for the first time and sort of seeing these different varied array of styles. It's actually Langston Hughes. I apologize. But what I do think is really interesting, again, is just this idea of the mixing and matching of different sort of cultural and styles of dress and sort of pairing them together in ways that might not be super cognizant to like the Western white attention or like mindset. But again, I think that it completely changes the idea of the look. I feel like we saw a lot of women that were doing sort of masculine and feminine draping and structured tailoring, whereas I feel like here we're seeing Brian do that on his own, and it sort of defies any other idea that this can't be done, or it looks strange, or it looks awkward, or it looks weird. No, it can actually be quite regal and opulent and cool, so I'm into it. Next up, we have Chance the Rapper, who is wearing Versace. It's a double-breasted suit, but I actually think that it's kind of interesting. Not only is the suit sort of color, it's this beige, clearly like an interesting woven. You can see the lines running through it. I think that's quite nice. It's not really super colorful and crazy, but it's also not black and white or gray, which I think we saw a lot of. What I also think is cool is that the waist coat or this collarless jacket, whatever it is underneath, is leather, and that to me plays to the Versace of it all. I love the tie. I also like the brooches, the multiple brooches. I think it's cool. And the brooch on the hat, and also the hat in general, is just like chic and interesting and not something that I feel like we saw a lot of. Then you have this sort of wide trouser with this beautiful sort of front crease, and then the shoe. I just feel like the shoe is sort of old man centric. It's cool, it's fun, it's maybe something you would see on an older gentleman, or at least like a vintage style. Overall, I think it's a good way of doing sort of more subtle, not too crazy, but still having the styling actually be rather interesting. Next up, we have Demi Moore. This was one of my favorite looks of the night. I do think that it was kind of fantastic. Demi is wearing Thom Browne. It's this custom sequined gown, but she's meant to be a tie. So you have the bodice as the sort of knot, you have the actual skirt as the tie part of the tie, and also what wraps around is the sort of neck holder, collar underneath her situation, the loop, as I guess you could say, that sort of creates this halo collared effect. It's really cool and it's funny. She's also wearing Shiphra jewelry, and I think that it actually sort of plays well. I like the drop earring, and because it's not super close to her head, it really works. And I also think that the big, beautiful sort of bangles on her wrists are lovely. The stripes, the sequin, maybe they're not sequins. They might be bugle beads. I think they're bugle beads. It works. And also at the same time, it's a great way of going about doing tailoring and referencing that suiting and all that without it having to be A, just a suit, but B, it's fun and avant-garde and different and cool, and it's just like a nice moment that I think I wasn't expecting, but my lord, I am very into it. Next up, we have Guillame Diop, who is wearing Valentino. And again, I think this is like a great example of what most of the people wearing Valentino should have done. I think that this beautiful big floral caftan with the lovely crystal embellishments all throughout the piping is magnificent. I also think that Alessandro Michele's Valentino is actually an incredibly fun people watching experience always, but I think that when you pair it with this beautiful sort of mustard yellow double-breasted blazer that's trimmed in this pink velvet, the big pleated bow, the ruffle shirt, the frilly shirt underneath, and the lace gloves, the white trouser, the little dapper, they're almost like a ballet flat, like they're a sort of flat men's shoe. They actually had some of them in the exhibit as well. Great. And it's crazy, and it's out there, and it's a lot, and it's too much, but I think that's also perfectly what we're looking for. It's just an interesting take, an element, a sort of color, texture, textile menagerie of things that feel fun and fresh and interesting, and that's like what I want and need. Next up, we have Hailey Bieber. She is wearing Saint Laurent and Tiffany & Co. Hailey, my darling, I had higher hopes. Maybe that's a me problem. The double-breasted blazer dress with the sharp shoulder. I don't want to be mean, but it sucks. I'm literally wearing Saint Laurent. I went to the store on Sunday, okay? I picked out this suit. I had the shirt and the tie and the beautiful little paisley smoking robe at home. I bought them. This I bought on eBay, actually. It's very cute and very fun. I don't really understand why when we had like an interesting take from the runway from Saint Laurent on like dapper, dandies kind of styles, things like that, we went for a cocktail dress with a blazer and a nice little black stocking and a peep toe pump. This might be like one of the worst looks just because there is no real true reference. Kind of blah, kind of uninteresting, not really a lot of attention or thought put into it. And if there is some sort of underlying message or theme, it's not coming across at all, and that sucks even more. So this is really a case of like, we should have done something far more cool, interesting, referential. I mean, Saint Laurent and suits, like the use of colors, the use of velvets, the use of shapes, like there's a lot to work with there, and it feels lazy that we just didn't seem to care at all. Speaking of lazy, James Corden and his wife Julia Carey. The fact that James Corden is there and Wisdom is not, it annoys me. I'm sorry, it does. Like, I usually am not like, oh, guest list, whatever, checker, but I do think that a boring ass black suit with a bow, like, it's just so deeply uninteresting and clearly on purpose. And we didn't invite one of the most interesting men of the 21st century, dress-wise, who has like pioneered the idea of style moving forward on social media platforms. I don't understand it. I don't get it. They're both wearing Hugo Boss as well, and I'm like, Hugo Boss, Wisdom, why didn't you bring him? It would have been a match made in heaven. You would have actually also saved a seat Somebody else fun could have been invited. We could have got a 2-for-1. I'm just including this because it sucks so bad and I need to be mean to somebody and it's him. No, not good. Julia's suit is like fine. It's kind of base level, the embellishment on the lapel that sort of moves in. Like, it's cute, it's fine, it's whatever. It's not offensive to the eye. It's also not super exciting. But James in particular, he just sucks. Should have replaced him, put Wisdom there. Wisdom and Julia could have went. That would have been better to me. Next up, we have Kylie Jenner, and I feel like people are going to be upset with me, but I think that this is on theme. And I know you're going to say, Luke, how in or on God's green earth are you going to say that and then drag Gigi Hadid in the last video? This is a custom Ferragamo piece. Maximilian Davis, very talented, very lovely. And also she's wearing Lorraine Schwartz jewelry. But the thing about this is tailoring fabric. Like, she's wearing a herringbone, black and white herringbone with little herringbone bugle bead sort of elements built in. Yes, is it Kylie doing like sexy corset, have to show the waist? Sure. Do I wish that she had just, I don't know, like done a skirt suit, maybe just a regular suit, maybe a little more heavy on like the suiting element? Absolutely, I do. But part of the dress code was the use of suiting fabrics as an element, and I see it. And I think it's also a really good example of, I don't really love the look at all, but it's a great way to do like sexy, sexy glamour, which is what Kylie Jenner wants to do, clearly. But still incorporating like menswear elements and suiting elements. I'm not saying that I like it. I don't. But do I think it's on theme? Yeah, like I do technically. Again, just because something's on theme doesn't mean it's good, but I think it works. I don't love the shoe. It's a little too strappy for me personally. And again, like maybe a bolero jacket could have been cool and nice, and I think that would have helped to actually emphasize the waist as well. I think there are like better Ferragamo looks that we could have derived inspiration from, especially like tailoring wise. I think Max is quite brilliant and I'm always fascinated to see what he does. So this to me feels heavy on Kylie's waist emphasis, and I've heard that from multiple designers that it's always tighter, tighter, tighter. And so like that's fine, but the jacket. Next up, we have Laura Harrier, and she is wearing Gap Studio by Zac Posen and jewelry by Buccellati. I think this is a great example of like, you can nip your waist. That thing could be tiny, but you put a vest on and bam, cool, chic. I actually really love this vest. I'm pretty positive that I think Zach said it was something along the lines of like a linen, which sort of harkens back to a historical fabric of sorts. I love this big, beautiful bell sleeve. It's so lovely, but still keeps that idea of like shirting and suiting and menswear. And then when you pair it with the vest, it's kind of great. It doesn't really need a jacket. We also have these big, beautiful satin trousers. They're huge. They just sort of have a little bit of a cuff situation going on. They're like crazy flare pants. They're almost costumey to a degree, but again, I think they help to really emphasize that waist as a sort of cinching point. And I also like the fact that the vest is kind of undone, because again, that sort of plays into the shapeliness, and it's just a great sort of juxtaposition to the last look that like you can do that and also not make it a sexy, sexy dress. So yeah, I think this was fun. I feel like Laura had fun with it. Like, she seems like she's really enjoying it, even just like the posing. Yes, does she look a little bit like Priscilla, Queen of the Desert goes to Gap Studio? Yeah, okay, sure. But it's chic, and it's cool, and it's interesting, and it's memorable. Next up, we have Lisa Manobon, who is wearing Louis Vuitton. Now, this is a lace set. It's a jacket and underwear sort of style. There is a stocking with the Louis Vuitton monogram attached, and then we can see that there's a little Speedy bag. It's cute. It's done with little pearls all around. Now, this look was kind of controversial, at least on the internet. People were saying that there were embroideries done throughout this jacket and underwear piece. You can see them much more thoroughly on the underwear, but essentially, people were saying that Rosa Parks was embroidered onto the underwear, the face of her, but there also is faces of other women. From what I've read, this was actually a collaboration with the embroiderer and artist Henry Taylor, who embroidered portraits into the ensemble, but it's actually from the men's Spring-Summer 2024 collection from Pharrell, Louis Vuitton. I don't really know. Nobody, I think, has figured out if they actually specified who was referenced, because Henry Taylor said that these were women in his lives, and we don't know if it is actually the civil rights legend Rosa Parks. I'm not really sure, so I don't really want to speak about it and I don't know exactly who it is. I think the look is like fine. It seems to be the general gist to a degree with LV was a little bit of tailored jackets and a very sort of bodysuit and or underwear brief situation. It's not great. I think that the jacket and the embroidery and all that, it's nice, it's cute. I like the sentiment of the embroidery, but I also would love a little bit more distinction of like silhouette, but that's just me. Next up we have Mona Patel, who is wearing custom Thom Browne. Now it's this beautiful floral length black tuxedo jacket that also has a pant underneath. She's wearing a white dress shirt as well as a white bow tie, and then there is this black fully crystalled bodice piece placed over top, or at least it's built into it, because when we look at it from the back, we can actually see that Mona Patel has included this really interesting sort of spinal piece, and it actually moves. Now, I know that Mona Patel works within the sort of tech industries, and I think that's kind of what she wanted to reference here with this look, which I actually think is kind of fun and different. I'm happy that Thom was also like into that idea and concept. And honestly, it kind of like changes the vibe of the look to me. Like, it's great from the front, but then it's also super fun from the back, as well as having like an interesting correlation to Mona herself. I love the hat. I think that it's beautiful and cool and interesting. The way that it's cocked just a little bit, the matching, I believe it's a Hector bag. Overall, like, cool, fun, nice Thom Browne look. Can't really go wrong there. Next up, we have Nishuti Gatwa, who is wearing Oswald Boateng, iconic designer, as well as a little bit of Boucheron jewelry. Oswald was the creative director of the menswear at Givenchy, and in reality brought his own really cool, interesting tailoring spin. I believe that his parents are Ghanaian, and he's also British, and so there's this really sort of interesting dichotomy of movement, and it also, again, correlates back to this idea of the earliest part of Slaves to Fashion, the book, and sort of talking about the English influences there too. I love the color. I love the pattern. I think that the weave is really, really quite stunning and striking. The black shirt with the big tie that's also in a bow shape is cool. Like, you can literally see the back end of the tie coming down too, which I think is fun and different. The matching pants, lovely. I think that the shoes work, the gloves and the hands, just even the rings. It's all sweet and cool and fun, and is a different take on, again, like tailoring. It's not just black or white, gray, you know. Interesting color, interesting pattern that correlates back. Next up, we have Nicki Minaj, who is wearing none other than Thom Browne, and this is a custom look. It's this interesting pinstripe style, but they go in a sort of diagonal version, so I think that actually helps. And then you have a mermaid style skirt on the bottom. Again, I think this is a great interpretation of the theme. Like, you can again have a nipped in waist with beautiful corsetry and all that sort of stuff. It's just cut it in the style of a jacket and you win. You're on it. You look great. I also like the big flower ensemble that comes down the right side of Nicki's sort of sleeve shoulder. It's that perfect Thom menagerie, the frayed elements, the mannequins, and the way that this sort of tailored suiting starts out and is created. It's different for Nicki. It might not be my favorite Nicki Minaj look ever, but it definitely feels like her stepping out of the box a little bit, working her way into the DNA of a brand too. Next up, we have Pharrell Williams, who is wearing Louis Vuitton, and I believe he's also wearing Tiffany. Now, Pharrell is wearing a fully pearl, I believe they're river pearl, striped suit. It's a double-breasted blazer. It looks kind of miraculous. I like the white buttons, honestly. I feel like they're interesting. And I think he's the perfect example of, not only is he a celebrity and a dandy in his own sense, I mean, he started his own brand with Nigo, the designer. They had Billionaires Boys Club, they had ice cream. So he is not only like a consummate dandy just in the sense of like the buffalo hat and, you know, Pharrell just being Pharrell, but also in the sense of he's been creating styles for upwards of 20 years. So I like the idea of him looking at this more from, in my opinion, the creative standpoint. Like, he is the designer that put a bunch of celebrities in these looks. I don't think he's really fighting for attention. He's still opulent and incredible and doing something really, really different, wearing this beautiful, regular, traditional double-breasted blazer in full pearls. But he's not like requiring all the attention be on him. He's taking his co-host role really seriously. He's wearing his signature black flare trousers, a black shoe. I think, honestly, he looks kind of great, and I think that jacket really is a very intriguing and fun take on the theme. Next up, we have Pusha T, who is wearing Louis Vuitton. I love this. I think it's really stunning. It's this simple sort of pinstripe burgundy suit, but this miraculous crystal sprinkling going on. It's almost like the Salt Bae was just like doing that all over the top of his shoulders. I love the way that they stuck and the way that they sort of move slowly down but fade away as you move down. I think that the colors work really quite well together. That silver bounces off the burgundy so sweetly, and then the rest of the suit really just lets the top do the important work. I think the shoe is nice. I think it pays homage. That sort of grommet-y metallic element is there. The double-breasted suit jacket all works. I like the tie. He looks good. Next up, we have Rihanna, who is wearing custom Marc Jacobs and jewelry by Messika, and the queen shut it down. She was the last person to walk the red carpet, which makes sense for Rihanna. As Andre Leon Talley once famously said, the queen of the night. I think that this is, again, like a real feather in the cap to her. This is probably one of my favorite looks from her in recent years, but also just like Marc Jacobs nailed this theme, like really killed it, and I'm very happy to see. So she's wearing a cropped bolero sort of tuxedo jacket, this big beautiful hat, which I believe is a collaboration with Stephen Jones, the famous milliner, then a sort of collar, and I don't know if that's a sheer shirt, I think it probably is, a little polka dot cravat sort of tie. We can see the jewelry going in there as well from Messika. Then we move down, and it's this beautiful multi-panel pinstripe stomach cover. She debuted a baby bump, I believe, a few hours earlier, and so the fact that she's putting a sort of strict boned sort of style, maybe it isn't actually strict, but boned style over a baby bump to me is really interesting, because normally I feel like the idea is allowing the baby bump to breathe, allowing it to be out. You know, pregnancy is something that can be, I think, to a degree uncomfortable and can put a strain on your body, so people oftentimes want to be as comfortable as humanly possible because of the strain, and so I think it's really interesting to see Rihanna cover that area in something that might be seen as constricting. And again, as I say, every time that she shows up to the Met Gala pregnant, the baby has not even come out yet and already has walked the carpet, so it's kind of iconic. I also love the skirt. I think it's cool. It's a pinstripe black skirt that doesn't correlate to any of the other pieces, but in the back it has a sort of tied loop, almost like the arms of the piece were sort of tied in the back and creates this bustle sort of effect, which is interesting. Almost looks like she is wearing a suit jacket sort of unbuttoned, but as a skirt with the arms sort of in the back here. And I feel like it, again, changes this cool concept of what tailoring can look like, and in terms of it being a gown of sorts. I also love the little brogue heel. I think they're chic and sweet and pointy and fun and cool. She looks great. I don't know if there was some sort of higher inspiration for the look, but I can't find anything about that, and so if there is, great. I just don't know it right now, but if there isn't, I think it's fun and kind of different and not really what I was expecting, so I enjoyed. Next up, we have Sabrina Carpenter, and this is probably my most controversial opinion. I enjoy this, and I think it's on theme. People were really mad about that. Now, here she is wearing a constricted pinstripe tailcoat that is also worn over top of a bodysuit in the matching sort of burgundy pinstripe, and there is a little bit of a collar that juts out of the blazer. I assume it juts out from the inside. It's sewn into the inner part of this jacket and then comes out. It's something that we've seen at Prada, and so I kind of like this idea and this concept because it doesn't really require you to actually wear the shirt underneath, and that's something that you can find all over, is like these sort of little collar bib pieces that just sort of sit and come to like right here at length. I've bought them, and it's a good way to get out of having to wear a full button-down shirt if you don't want, but still having that like formality to it. If I think about the exhibit, like you can go and you can look and you can find sort of dandies in the 1820s and the 1830s that wore these super long, almost floor-length tailcoats. Now, Sabrina's is fully like floor length and flows, and I do think it's interesting of a dichotomy about the idea that the black dandy, as we were talking about in the last video, would wear something that was seen to them as chic and cool and fashionable and the height of style. But they would also be stereotyped and characterized in blackface minstrelry shows. I think that the idea of Sabrina wearing this jacket, whether it's known to her or not known to her, I'm unsure. This is just my historical lens and theory, is this idea of, I think what goes on quite often within at least black American culture, is that black Americans have their really own world language, African-American vernacular English. Like they have their own, you know, just ways of greeting each other, their own ways of talking, their own ways of dancing, their own ways of creating music. And then it's seen as like, oh, that's bad because it's black. And then what happens is eventually white people are like, oh, well, this is kind of cool and transgressive, interesting. And so we're going to become a part of it. And then not only do they become a part of it, quote unquote, they also then just take it and then turn it into their own thing. But throughout history have denigrated that thing until finally they're like comfortable with it. And I'm speaking about myself in that context as well. So I think that this, to me, if you think about the idea of like the long tail blue blackface character, it's Sabrina kind of doing that because it was seen as ridiculous when it was done on this blackface caricature. But now here it's like, oh, well, like it's really cool and it's interesting and it's referencing that historical thing. But if a black person was to have done it, it would have been like, oh, that's ridiculous. Like that dandy, it's not good. Layers to a look like this. And then on top of it, it's custom Louis Vuitton. So it's designed by Pharrell, who, as we saw earlier, is a black man. So I just think there's a really layered, nuanced, interesting conversation to be had just about American culture repeating itself time and time again when it comes to black people and then the adoption of black culture by popular, wider mainstream culture. Also, I saw something about how there was like no pants or whatever. To me, this fits the Sabrina Carpenter narrative. Like it feels like something she would have worn on tour, and people were saying that as an insult, and I don't really see that as an insult. I think the important thing about the Met Gala is that you take your own personal DNA and you make sure that it works and meshes with the brand and the theme that you are working with. So the idea of her wearing this pinstripe bodysuit, it's a tailoring fabric. It doesn't matter. I think it works kind of perfectly. Next up, we have Shabuzi, who is wearing Robert I and Audemars Piguet. I love this. Not only do I love this bolero and pant set that is in a gorgeous moire silk. I always say that it almost looks like gasoline and water. When I was a little kid at McDonald's, I would see it. It sort of is a way of weaving the silk so that it creates that interesting graphic design. Now, we can also see that he is wearing all of these turquoise beads that are just sort of stranded and layered. And I thought it was cool. Not only do I think the color work is really interesting, I think, again, it's that idea of incorporating, as a country music star, elements and ideas of Western American culture. I feel like we saw that from LV a little while ago. I thought it looked good. People were like trying to be mean to him, and I'm like, you suck. You're not even good at it because you don't even understand what you're looking at. I will say the turquoise grill might be possibly my favorite thing I've ever seen in my entire life. Like, I can't stop staring at them. I think they're so cool. I also love the hat. I think it's fun. I love little sort of tails that flare down from the sleeve or the back. I'm not really sure. It's a cool look, and it's different and it's interesting, and if you don't get it, that's okay, but like, I'm sad for you. If you're making fun of him because of the outfit, you suck. And I don't feel bad for you. Next up, we have Sydney Sweeney, who is wearing Miu Miu and jewelry by De Beers. I like the jewelry. I think it's cute. I actually like the little white stone with the little drop of the yellow. We're going back to the Gigi Hadid conversation of it all. I think this is a beautiful dress on her. I thought it was a beautiful dress on Gigi. Like, I think that a lot of the dresses this evening at the Met were really, really good. Like, I think they're some of the best dresses that anybody's kind of ever worn. And I love this dress outside of this context. I love this dress regardless of the context too, which I think is important because like it's such a good dress to me that I think she looks fantastic, but I don't think she's on theme. Now, I know that this dress is paying homage to Kim Novak, who is an actress who did have a relationship with Sammy Davis Jr., and that was during like the Jim Crow era in the United States in the 1950s. That's kind of where Sydney was going with it. I just think that adding in like an element of tailoring would have helped. I know that she's playing Kim Novak in an upcoming movie, so obviously publicity-wise, like they got us talking about it. Coleman is directing it. Beautiful dress. I just think for the theme, it's kind of like, do the tailoring thing. I get it. It's just a little obscure, not really to me on theme for the whole men's suiting and menswear experience. But again, she looks great. She's just not on theme. Next up, we have Taraji P. Henson, who, might I say, looks absolutely radiant and on theme, but she is wearing a look that's a collaboration between the brands Moncler and Post Imperial, and I think it's absolutely lovely. I think that this idea of the shirt that also is like boned underneath as like the base garment layer is really, really cool, but up top there's another frayed deconstructed piece, which to me correlates a little bit to like the Moncler deconstruction of it all, but then you have this sort of cutaway tailcoat, which isn't like a traditional tailcoat. It's sort of almost like it was slashed, and that's what starts to begin the tails of the coat. I think it's really, really smart. I also love the sleeves and the multiple layers there. It's a cool look. The cane, the hat, the shoe, it all plays into it. She looks lovely and fun and on theme and different and not like anything that I've seen yet tonight, so thank you to Taraji. Next up, we have Tremel Tillman, who is wearing Thom Browne as well as David Yurman jewelry and a Jaeger LeCoultre little watch experience. I loves it. I think it's great. I think it's cool. I think it's fun and funky. The black velvet tailcoat that hits the floor with the pinstripes in the lining, absolutely delicious. And I believe on the back it's also crystalled. We can see that, or at least the pinstripes are crystalled. I also think that the pinstripe pants, great. I love the shoes. They're kind of that little brogy dress shoe, but it's also like a slipper. Again, we can see that in the actual exhibit itself. The cummerbund, the shirt, the black velvet, the flowers that are flying out. Like, Mr. Milchick, give yourself a waffle party, baby girl. You deserve it. You turned it out. I'm very honored and very blessed. The rest of the girls can devour feculence. Next up, we have Tyla, who is wearing custom jacquemus. It's this form-fitting black and white gown with a long sort of caftan coat. It's a coat, tailoring. Cool. What Tyla also said was that this was inspired by Andre Leon Talley, and there's this image of Andre Leon Talley that Laurent, her stylist, posted with these sort of big, beautiful sleeves in this caftan formation with like strings falling down that look beaded. And so when we look up close at the dress, you can see that it is beaded. So those very wide pinstripes are actually black beads. And there seems to be some sort of threads flying down throughout the look. So I wonder if that's also an alluding to those strings that come down from the sleeves. I think the dress fits fine. It's not my favorite fitted dress ever, but at the same time, like, white is tough, so I'm not like completely angry about it. And what I also think part of the issue is for me is that when I was seeing from afar the little thread wisps, I thought that was also the dress wrinkling, but it really isn't. It's just thread wisps, so I take that out. I love the big coat. I think it's cool. I think it's a nice homage to Andre, an icon, a legend. I'm excited to see more from Tyla and Law's relationship. This isn't my like favorite look, but also she's coming off of, you know, the sand dress from last year, so everybody needs a year in between to deliver. But I think it's a nice homage. I think it's cute. It fits the theme. We'll work with that. Next up, we have Yara Shahidi, who is wearing Fear of God. I like it. It's not the most exciting look ever. It's a black suit. I assume double-breasted, but they're hiding the button. And then underneath that, you can see this beautiful sort of coppery silk shirt and tie that match. And this big, I assume it's a faux fur. I don't know. It doesn't look real to me, but it could be. I'm unsure. Big fur coat that is sitting on top. I like the rounded sleeve that comes with this. Maybe it's just the way she's standing, but to me, it has a little bit of a rounded edge to the shoulder situation. I think it's nice. It's classic, it's easy. To me, it also fits within the Fear of God aesthetic. It's really this kind of oversized, or usually oversized, sort of baggy, very monochrome and sort of muted tailoring in nice silhouettes that are quite sweet. But I think the fur coat over top sort of alludes to the importance of fur within the black community and the way that it's passed down and seen really as like a very important element of style dressing. And last, we have Zoe Saldana, who I'm really proud of. She's wearing Thom Browne and some Buccellati jewelry. And I think this is one of my favorite Zoe Saldana looks ever. It's this Thom Browne gown, but obviously it has this kind of lovely, I don't think it's actually a stripe. I believe that it's panels that are made to look like pinstripes, but in reality, it really sort of creates this beautiful little edge to each of the pieces. There's a collar built in. It looks like she's wearing a jacket of some sort with these big, beautiful buttons down the front as well as on the sleeves. And the way that it hits the floor, it to me maybe references a little bit of like tuxedo shirting, these sort of little pleated pieces. We can see that a little bit more in the skirt, in my opinion. I think it works. I think it's on theme. I think it's cool. I think it's interesting. I think it's different. It feels glamour-puss, but fits in with that tailored element, that idea of suiting, and not just in like a boring way. So I'm very proud of Zoe, because normally I'm like, whoa, what's happening? So that is the end of our Met Gala Part 2 Fashion Roast and Review. So let's talk about best and worst. I'm going to give best to Brian Tyree Henry. I'm going to put Demi Moore in there, Guillaume Diop, Laura Harrier. I'll put Nishuti Gatwa, Pusha T, Sabrina Carpenter, Rihanna, Shabuzi, Taraji P. Henson, Tremel Tillman. I think that's good. As for worst, James Corden, Hailey Bieber. I'm going to put Sydney in there. Well, it's not like worst dress. It's just worst for theme. Well, also Hailey, but Hailey's technically on theme, so this is tough. Kylie's on theme. I just don't like the dress. I hope you guys enjoyed. Check in for part 3, part 4, because we still have a lot of looks to get through. It feels like it's never ending. But thank you again for watching. I'll see you in the next one. And TTY, help.